In today's video, I'm going to tell you the difference between people who make 10K a month and people who make 100K a month. And the reason I think this is important to discuss with you is because there is a huge difference between people who operate at a low level in business and people who operate at a very high level. And that difference is to do with one mindset shift. And in this video, I'm going to tell you what that mindset shift is, how to implement it, and hopefully give you a paradigm shift and change the way you view business for the rest of your life. Because I know when I learned about this, it morphed the way I conducted my business for literally probably until I die. Like everything I do is different as a result of learning this, and I'm so grateful that I learned it early on in my career. And as usual, I'm also going to include some actionable step-by-step takeaways for you in this video so that you can go away and implement them into your business today and make an instant ROI. So, stay tuned for the next 10 or 15 minutes because this video really is the most valuable one I've ever made. And it's also one of the most valuable topics that I'll ever speak about. So make sure you watch the whole thing. I know you might have a TikTok addiction or you might be in the middle of scrolling through YouTube videos or shorts. Just try to focus and pay attention. In the title of this video, I said 5K versus 50K or 10K versus 100K or whatever it is I said. But those are just arbitrary numbers. My point is basically that here's a low level person and here's a high level person. And there's a difference between the way that the low level and high level people operate. Whether low level is 5 or 10K and high level is 50 or 100 or 10 million, doesn't matter. Low level versus high level. So yeah, before I reveal what the mindset shift is, I want to give you some more context on this entire video. So, when you first start your business, your number one goal is survival. As a freelancer, that means getting your first client. As a e-com brand owner or a dropshipper or a software CEO, a SaaS CEO, that means acquiring your first customer at profit or break even. Without the ability to acquire customers at profit or break even, you don't have money coming into the bank account, and without money coming in, you don't have a business. That's why acquiring customers is the key to survival when you first start your business, and it's where most of your focus should be. Now, in direct response, we call this acquisition of customers the front end of your business. So if you're focusing on the front end, that means you're scaling the front end and acquiring customers. And in the beginning, that is key to survival. When I first started, that's what I did. That's how I survived. I cold called business owners and I cold emailed them and I just aggressively scaled my front end through sales and marketing every single day until finally I got a pool of clients who were making me a steady income and I was able to focus on them. But what comes after the front end? The back end. And by back end, I mean the back end of your business. So if this is a front end where you acquire customers, this is the back end where the customers end up. But yeah, anyway, you can also call the back end the bottom of your funnel, which brings me to my main point. The big difference between low-level business owners that fizzle out after a few years and have to go move back in with their parents or start working a normal job and smart CEOs who build huge companies is that low-level operators focus only on the front end and they stay in that survival mindset, whereas high-level CEOs focus most of their efforts on the back end. That's the difference, and I call it the back-to-front mindset for building businesses. And in this video, I'm going to explain exactly how you can implement it, examples of the biggest companies in the world who operate with the back-to-front mindset, and how to use it to make an instant ROI. But just before I do that, you need to understand the big problem that's going on right now in the online business space. It's a story as old as time. Yeah, let's say a guy starts his first marketing agency. He focuses, like I said just now, the most important thing to focus on is survival. So what does he do to survive? He tries to get his first client. He focuses all of his efforts every single day on acquiring his first client. And if you do that for long enough, like it's basic universal law. If you message 100 people a day or cold call 100 people a day for 30 days straight, you're going to sign somebody. No matter how shit your sales is or how bad you are at selling stuff, you're going to close somebody, right? So this guy, he puts all of his effort into signing his first few clients. And what he does it. He signs 3 clients, he's making money, he's surviving, but that's where the problem starts, right? He signs a client, they pay him 5K. Everyone knows that the first time you get paid online or the first time you get paid from your own business, The dopamine is crazy. It's like a type of euphoria that you'll never experience again. And this guy gets addicted to that high. So what he does is he starts focusing even more on front-end acquisition and just trying to acquire more and more clients, because every time he signs a client or closes a deal, money goes to his bank account. And when money goes to his bank account, his dopamine receptors start firing. He thinks, oh, okay, I've got 10K now, 2K more, and I can buy a Rolex Datejust. Like, that's how he thinks, because he's low level, right? So he just keeps focusing on getting new clients and new customers. And that's his main focus. He never stops. And the reason for that is because, first of all, he's low level. And second of all, he's still operating with that survival mindset that all beginners have. So what happens to this guy? Well, after 2 or 3 months, his clients start to churn. They start to, end the contract, stop working with him. He gets a message, hey, we found another agency, or we found someone else who can do a better job than you. We're not working with you anymore. When he sees this happening, now his cortisol is going crazy. Like, he's getting super stressed out. And all he knows is acquiring clients. That's all he knows. So what does he do to make up for the clients who leave? He focuses even harder on the front end and starts acquiring more and more clients to make up for the customers who are leaving. But what he doesn't realize is that the reason the customers are leaving in the first place is because he put all of his focus into acquiring customers rather than taking care of and nurturing customers who already exist. So he ends up in this sort of churn and burn merry-go-round, running a super stressful business that constantly feels like it's about to fall apart. All his processes are super delicate because, if he doesn't hit his quota of signing X amount of clients, then he lost X amount last month, so his business just falls apart. Believe it or not, 99% of online businesses are operating this way. If you are a brand owner and you work with a very big agency, I guarantee you they're operating in the way I just described to some extent. It's the churn and burn model. And while it might work to pay the bills in the short term, it will never work long term. That's why most people who start their first online business, they stay in that business for 2 or 3 years max before they pivot to something else. You can probably think of examples of guys in the space who, started out with one business, and then a year later they're focusing on another business, and a year later they're selling a course on this, and they just keep swapping. And that's because they're focused on the front end, and they always have this survival mindset. Now, believe it or not, when I first started my business, I was doing what everyone else was doing. I was kind of close to operating a churn and burn business because I was burning through clients like they grow on trees. I was constantly stressing over my business, and I was signing anyone I could because I needed clients. So I would ignore red flags on sales calls just to get a client and just to get that deposit into my bank account. But I didn't want to run my business like that. It was stressful and it was unfulfilling, and I knew that it was doomed to fail at some point. So I did what any young guy would do, and I started reading. And the thing is, for me, when I have an issue in life or in business, I will find a specific book on that thing and read it like 3 or 4 times. So I started reading, and I came across this quote from a guy called Dan Kennedy. And if you don't know who Dan Kennedy is, then I suggest you do some research at some point, because he was is one of the greatest copywriters ever. He made a ton of money, and just very important to study, some of the OGs in this industry and the people who built what we have today. Anyway, I was reading his stuff, and that's where I discovered the front to back mindset for building businesses. Because what he said was, you make money on the front end, but you build wealth on the back. The first time I heard that, I didn't really understand it. So I'm going to repeat it for you. You make money on the front end, you build wealth on the back end. I want you to think about it. Making money and building wealth or getting rich are 2 different things, right? Most people in the survival mindset or in survival state of mind are focused on making money, which is why they focus on the front end, because every time they get a new customer, they get X amount of dollars into their bank account. And to them, that's all that matters. How much money is coming into the bank account? How many new customers are we acquiring? But what they don't realize is that in order to build real wealth and get really rich, your focus has to be on the back end, which is, what are we doing with those customers once we have them? And I promise you, this is how the biggest companies in the world are operating right now. Let's take a look at McDonald's. To the average normie, McDonald's is just a restaurant where you can buy like soy burgers and fries and all this shit, right? But if you take a look at the inner workings of their business, it tells a whole different story. Most people think that McDonald's scaled through just franchising, but that's not the case. See, McDonald's makes their money on the front end by franchising and selling burgers and fries, but they build real wealth on the back end by buying land and leasing that to the people who franchise their restaurants. And they lease it at an above market rate, so they're making even more money. In reality, McDonald's is a real estate company, not a fast food restaurant. It's the same thing with insurance companies. They make money on the front end by charging people like me and you and our parents and everyone we know a couple $1,000s a year for health insurance, but they build wealth on the back end by taking our money, giving it to, the best traders and stockbrokers and analysts in the world, and putting our money on the stock market and trading it and building their own portfolio. That's why insurance companies make billions and billions of dollars. And it's exactly what the biggest direct response companies do. They make money on the front end by acquiring customers through cold traffic at break even or profit, or if they're ballsy enough, they'll acquire customers at a loss. But they build wealth on the back end by turning those customers into repeat buyers through email marketing, upsells, and a bunch of other formats that you can use on the back end. It's what I do at my agency. We make money on the front end by signing a customer, but we get rich and we build wealth on the back end by crushing performance deals and in some cases taking equity in our clients' companies. Same thing with this YouTube channel. I make money on the front end by monetizing these videos, even though my channel isn't monetized yet. I'm just talking about theoretically, because probably after I post this video, I will be able to monetize this channel. But yeah, I make money on the front end by monetizing these videos, but I get rich and I build wealth on the back end by having you sign up to my newsletter and buy my courses. And by the way, if you aren't on my newsletter, you should go sign up, because the stuff you see me talk about in these videos is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of the depth and the detail I go into on my newsletter. And the other thing is I send an email to my list every single day. So you'll have a daily email from me teaching you this kind of stuff in much more detail. Front to back approach works for all businesses, whether you're McDonald's, a dropshipper, or a digital marketing agency. You make money on the front end by getting a customer, but the real wealth and the profit is made on the back end. And that's why the smartest business owners usually build their businesses back to front, and that's why I call it the back to front mindset, because they start with the back end first and then the front end comes after. And you're also kind of just telling everyone, like, you're putting out there into the universe that you're so confident that you're going to build the back end first and then the front end will fill itself. And it's kind of a universal law. Empty spaces always get filled. That's a law of the earth. Like, that's not something I'm making up. So if you build it, usually that space gets filled. So yeah, that's the difference between low-level people and high-level people. High-level people, instead of chasing short-term profit and jumping from one thing to another, they focus on long-term goals and build back to front as a result. Now, if you want to learn more about this topic, which I really think is one of the most important topics in online business, then you need to be on my newsletter, because I recently launched the direct response files. And the direct response files, I've actually got it with me here, so I'm going to show you. What that is basically, you can see here. I don't know if the lighting is good, but yeah, it's my new offer. Once a month, I'm going to send you a physical book, just like that one. It's going to be between 15 to 30 pages long, A4 size. And yeah, I'm going to send it to you every single month. And every month, we're going to talk about a different topic. So in the first issue, we spoke about research and why the highest paid business owners and copywriters tend to never agree with what the mainstream news says. And then I gave three actionable takeaways on how to do better market research. In this second issue, I'm speaking about my meeting with Dana White. So for those who don't know, I met with Dana White one time and we spoke for like 10 minutes. I got invited to a private dinner and he was there, and I took away a lot of really valuable stuff from Dana White that actually made me a ton of money. So I'm writing the entire second issue is going to be about that meeting. And in the third issue, I'm going to be discussing the back to front mindset for building businesses. And I'm going to give you step-by-step SOPs on how you can build your business back to front and how the biggest online businesses are doing that today. So if you want access to that and you want to get more detail on all this stuff, then you need to be on my newsletter and you need to sign up for the direct response files. It's $99 a month, and yeah, I'm gonna physically mail it to your house, and if I mail it once, I'm never gonna send it again for the rest of my life. So each one is kind of like a collectible because I'm only gonna send it once, and yeah, 99 a month. It's literally like that's less than a Starbucks every single day, and it's worth a lot more than that. It's worth thousands. And the stuff I'm discussing in the DR files is not like, you know, how to make 5K a month. No, like we're talking about high level business concepts and theories and actionable takeaways that you can implement today. And it's stuff that no other guru is talking about. I promise you that. So yeah, go sign up to my newsletter. Wait for my next email. I'm gonna promote this and you can sign up to it there. And yeah, hope you guys found this one valuable.